Hello everybody, all of you who are listening and or watching this. This is your friend Jay, and I'm here to talk to you guys about something that is extremely nerdy. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. So, this nerdy thing that I want to talk to you guys about is a theory that I have. And this theory is basically a combination of two things that I really love. The first thing is Magic the Gathering. I don't know how many of you have heard about it, but Magic the Gathering is a trading card game, one of the most successful in the world, and it is very fun and very awesome. But there is a very important aspect of the game, and it's kind of the center of the game, story and mechanical wise. And what it is that there are 5 colors of magic in the entire universe of Magic the Gathering. And these 5 colors are white, blue, black, red, and green. Each one of these colors sort of has a set personality that represents it, like some attributes, characteristics about it that it has. Its culmination of it is unique, but it does share some attributes with the other colors. There are some things that it agrees on with other colors. There are also things that it disagrees on with other colors. And there are also a few things about the color, not many, but there are a few things about each color that is unique to each color. I am obsessed with this idea of these 5 colors of magic. And there are actually a lot of articles, which I will link in the description as a source of information for you guys, that are written about this by the people who actually run the game. It's what they call color pie theory. But this color pie theory, it's something that I love. I love talking about it. I love thinking about it. I love putting people that I know somewhere along the color pie, you know, where they fit, which attributes they exude. I love matching it up to lots of things, which leads me to my next aspect of this nerdy thing that I want to discuss with you guys, and that is Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I'm sure a lot more of you know about because that is just an awesome, amazing show. If you have not watched it, it is on Netflix. Go watch it now, the entire show. It's amazing. It's an amazing show that everybody should watch no matter what. In this show, there are 5 main characters. There is Mac, Dennis, Frank, Dee, and Charlie. And my nerdy theory that I have here, this nerdy thing I want to talk to you about, that I've come up with, is that each one of these main characters from Always Sunny in Philadelphia match up with each of the colors in Magic the Gathering. And, well, that's my crazy theory. And I'd like to try and prove to you guys that it's true. Because now that I've mentioned it, and I've watched the episodes with this, and now that I have the idea in my brain, and it's germinated, it's stuck into me, it's grown into this thing that I cannot unsee. It is there every time I watch now. Every single time I see an action that any of the characters, the main characters in the show that is, anytime they take an action, I just immediately say, oh, it's because of this. It's because they are this color, and it's tied to how they do this, and how this color does this, and it's a whole thing. But allow me to try and prove to you guys that this is true. I already stated the 5 colors, and as you guys know, there are the 5 characters of Always Sunny in Philadelphia: Mac, Dennis, Frank, Dee, and Charlie. Now, these 5 characters match up in that order with the colors that I mentioned. So, my theory is that Mac is a white character, Dennis is a blue character, and then Frank is black, Dee is red, and Charlie is green. And basically I'm going to go through how they each separately represent that. I'm going to bring up examples of that. So first, why not? Let's start with Mac, the top of the color pie, as they call it. Mac is a character that is, he's very how do I put it? He's very annoying. I mean, come on. You guys have seen the show, right? You know that he's annoying. He says something and you're like, wow, why would anybody think that or do that? Or he'll do something and you'll say, wow, that is incredibly stupid. Why would anybody do that? But there's still a pattern to it. There's like a structure to it. And this is how White operates. White in the game of Magic the Gathering is something that's about, it's the antithesis of change. It believes in being stagnant, being continuously what it is. What it is what it is, and that's it. There's no compromise. There's no, oh, maybe you're right. There's just, no, this is how it goes. And I have an example of this in Season 8, Episode 10, Reynolds vs. Reynolds, the Serial Defense. Great episode. Mac is the person who sort of takes over and commandeers this whole event that is happening, where it's basically a court case. He says that he's the judge and the bailiff, which is a very White attribute to be a judger, to look at somebody else and see what they're doing as whether or not it's morally correct or it's morally incorrect. You know, they're somebody who sets a standard. They like to have codes and laws. That's definitely something that White has. There's even certain characters in Magic the Gathering. There's a certain world, because there's multiple worlds, but again, don't worry, we won't get into that too nerdy stuff, unless, of course, you guys want me to, and I could do that in some other video. But on one of the worlds, there's these certain mages, and they're called law mages. They are wizards of this government system. They have a doctrine, they have a way they do things. They're basically the closest thing to the justice system inside an actual, like, magical world. It's a very interesting world, by the way, Ravnica. But they can actually cast spells that it's focused on, and it derives its power from the fact that these laws exist. And this is very much along the lines with Mac and his ideas of being a judge and a bailiff and somebody who wants structure and order in the world. In fact, in that very same episode, he has a quote, and it's one of my favorite quotes from Mac because I think it perfectly exudes his personality. And he says, and I quote, "I won't change my mind on anything, regardless of the facts that are set out before me. I'm dug in, and I'll never change." End quote. And that's how Mac is. That's him in a nutshell. He just refuses to change, and that is perfect for White, the antithesis of change. The hater of the sake of change for no reason. Just chaos. They don't like chaos either, definitely. But we'll get into that later when we start to talk about the other colors. The next character is Dennis. And Dennis matches up with Blue very much. Blue is methodical. They think things out. They plan ahead. They are all about potential and things becoming the best that they are, too. They like to have these ideas of grandeur even sometimes, which is, you know, if you've watched the show, you know for sure that Dennis is a character of just pure grandeur, pure big-headedness. They also like to have power and control over things. They like to be able to understand things and figure them out and be able to, you know, manipulate them sometimes. Dennis does this in a variety of ways. One example is the episode, Season 5, Episode 10, the Dennis System. And who's ever seen that episode probably knows where I'm going right away with this. The Dennis System is all about how Dennis has this certain way that he manipulates women into sleeping with them and then causing them to never like him again. He like detaches himself from it. You know, that way he can sleep with whoever he wants and then discard them. And this is pure Blue. This is methodical. This is manipulative. This goes out of its way to control and to have these people under their control. Of course, there are other aspects of blue, and that's something too that I forgot to mention earlier, was that all of these colors, they have a good side and they have an evil side. But the thing is that obviously, since these characters are evil, well, they're gonna exude the evil side of all of these colors. Everyone can be good and bad, you know, that's just like with any person. But It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is definitely not a show about good people. So they will all exude the cruel side, the cruel aspect of their color. And speaking of cruelty, that leaves us to Frank, the color black, which is a color that is all about cruelty. An example of this would be in Season 9, Episode 2, Gun Fever 2, Still Hot, where in the episode there's a focus on guns, which the reason they say Gun Fever 2 is because they talked about it in an early episode. But in this one, they bring up the issue again, and this time Frank's in the game, since you know he came in late. And in this, it starts out, the very beginning of the episode is where Frank is on the TV. He's at an interview. He's in a newsroom, and he's talking about how awesome guns are and how everybody should go out and buy guns, and he even does a promotion for a gun store. And then you get all the way to the end of the episode, and it turns out that he actually didn't care about that at all. He was just trying to sell guns, because now he's on to water filters, and now he goes back on TV at the end, almost like a parallel to the beginning, and now he's saying, hey, water filters are important. Your water is tainted. And this perfectly fits black. Black is the color about exploiting things. They want to drain the resources that are from other things. They have greed, they have wealth. They want wealth. They want to control things, and they don't care who they have to knock out of the way in order to get there. Another example of this is the fact that Frank used to run a sweatshop in Vietnam, and well, let's just say sweatshops aren't nice, and they definitely do exploit people. And I won't do any spoilers for the new season that's out, because it's not out on Netflix, but let's just say you'll find out some very freaky stuff that Frank says about this sweatshop. And trust me, once you see it, you'll believe me that Frank definitely is a character that exudes the color black. Next up is D, who is red. Red is a color that's it's fiery. That's its symbol, is fire. So it's quick. It's quick to anger. It's quick to make a decision. It's quick to fall for things too and be gullible. It makes snap decisions, but it's also passionate and it cares about things. And this is exuded in D in her passion for things that, you know, sometimes leads her down wrong paths. She gets enraptured with an idea and gets caught up in it. And, well, speaking of that, one of my favorite episodes, because it's absolutely hilarious, is The Gang Broke D. Season 9, Episode 1. She is completely gullible in this. She falls for this entire joke that is set up for her. That Frank and Charlie and Mac all set up. They all pull her leg, and not only that, but while she's going through this entire joke, it gets to her head. She thinks that she's amazing. She's this blazing piece of glory that has risen so fast and just skyrocketed through everything. And she's willing to believe this because that's red. They believe that they're big, that they explode, and that they went for it. And not only that, but, well, D does actually explode at the end of the episode. So, how's that for a testament to her being red? And last, but certainly not least, is Charlie, who matches the color green. The color green is the color that shares most in common with all the other colors. As I said earlier, the colors disagree and agree on some things. All of them do. Every single one of the combinations has certain things they agree on and certain things they disagree on. And some of the combinations they agree on more, and then some of the other combinations they disagree on more. What happens though with green is that green is all about unity. It's about nature. Its symbol is the tree. It's about things coming together and nature as a whole, because even if things disagree, they still all have their place. Which makes sense because then it shares with everything. And this match is definitely with Charlie because, come on, who doesn't like Charlie? Everybody loves Charlie. I'd say he's my favorite character, at least, at the very least, the most likable character. The other characters, they all have their bad things, and Charlie isn't a perfect person either. Again, it's a show about bad people, but he's somebody who you can look at and be like, alright, you know, his heart's in the right place. He does weird things, but that's just because he's weird, and he's okay with being weird, and that's how Green is too. Green's very okay with, you know, whatever it ends up doing. But Green is also very good at what it does, you know. Maybe Green isn't as smart as Blue, or isn't as organized as White, or is it as, you know, willing to stand up for itself as Black, or willing to go off the beaten path as Red is, but what Green does it damn well. And this, which is one of the few episodes that I like more than The Gang Broke D, is Charlie Work, Season 10, Episode 4. This shows this very much. This attribute of being able to just know, I run this bar. I'm the basis that holds everything up, which is another Green attribute. You know, it's nature. It's the cradle in which we all live, and that's what he is for the bar. He does all the dirty work, all the Charlie work, kills all the rats, keeps everything running in its own weird, barely running way. And this episode shows that without him, the bar would be nothing, and yet they all take him for granted. Everybody does. And that's definitely a Green thing too. All the other colors are not willing to share. Green's about sharing though. That's its one center attribute. So, that is that. That's the evidence that I at least provide for this video. I wish I had more. Honestly, this is something that I definitely want to keep coming back to and updating and filling it out completely. But I think this is a good beginning to it, at least a good start to it, to kind of have the idea start in your brain. And also, if you want to dig deeper into this, you're really interested in this, the articles that I link in the video are definitely something that's very important to read as far as pertaining to this entire idea. They do a much better job, obviously, since the person who wrote the articles is literally the head designer for Magic the Gathering currently, and he has been for a while. He understands the colors a little bit more than I do, and yeah, that's about it for this one. I will definitely try updating this, and I think I'm going to try doing other videos that are similar to this about different pieces of media, like Guardians of the Galaxy is one that I'd like to do. Each one of the characters in that matches up with the colors, which, considering the second one just came out, I would find that very apt. Parks and Recreation is also another TV show. There's a lot of characters in there. There are 10, and I believe that each one of them matches up with 2 color combinations, which is where in Magic the Gathering there's 10 2-color combinations, since there's 5 colors, and each one is unique. You know, colors interact in different ways. So I like to do a video of that, and I'd also even like to do a video on how these characters in Always Sunny in Philadelphia actually interact and have a 2-color combination like relationship based on each one. There's so much that can be done with this, and so much that can be delved deep into it. I was even given some suggestions by people that I talked to who were saying that it'd be interesting to match up the colors with already established ideas of personality types and personality traits, and how that would fit into the scheme of these 5 colors. There's so much to it. There's so much that you can do. I think Magic the Gathering and these 5 colors, it sort of encompasses everything that we have. You know, they outline the entire world, and I think it's a nice balance. 5 is one of those very balanced odd numbers, as odd as it is to say. Well, I think I'm done rambling for now. I will definitely have more to ramble about later, but until then, I will see you next time.